Hey everybody, I'm here today to tell you how to buy a supercar in your 20s. I'm going to be outlining a few key things that you can do to be able to not only afford, but actually purchase a supercar in your 20s. If you want to drive a McLaren, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, or pretty much any other kind of supercar when you're still in your 20s, this is the video for you. The first thing that you need to know, you need to have an income that can grow. If you're on a fixed income, it's going to be really hard for you to walk into a dealership and buy a car that costs between $200,000 and $400,000. So with that being said, you need to have an income that is controllable by you, completely controllable, meaning the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So if you make $120,000 a year, that's a great income, but if you're stuck on that income, it's going to be hard for you to afford a supercar in your 20s. So what you need to do is get an income that can grow. Now there's good news for you because we live in this current year and era, okay? In this day and age, even if you work at any job, because you have a smartphone and the internet, you can develop a form of growing income. So you can go on social media and you can create a social media account or create an online business, sell a digital product, sell an ebook, whatever the case is. You can create a drop shipping business online. You can do many things online on your nights and weekends that will allow you to grow your income. And that means that you can work during the day, Monday to Friday, as an accountant or any job in the world. And then on the weekends and the nights, if you work on your online business model, then you can create a growing income. You can have a fixed income, and then you can have an income that can grow. So the first thing is to either own your own business, which is one way to have a growing income, or you can work a full-time job and then also have a growing income on the side, okay? So that's the first thing. You need a growing income. It can either be your full-time income or it can be on the side. You need a growing income. Number two, you need some form of passive income. Now, if you're working, even if you're making $250 an hour, which is a crazy hourly wage, even if you're making $250 an hour, if you are trading your hours for dollars and you go buy a supercar, then what happens if you break your leg? What happens if you can't go to work? You're not going to be able to afford either the payments on the supercar, or even if you bought it cash, the maintenance on the supercar. So with that being said, you need at least some form of passive income. It doesn't have to be like 50 grand a month in passive income, but you need at least some form of passive income. Now the good thing is, like I said before, if you either own a business or you're doing something online on the side, if you are doing something that has a growing income, then most of the time you can incorporate some form of passive income into it. So the reason you need passive income is simply because if something happens that causes you to not be able to work, you still want to be able to afford a supercar. No point in buying a supercar in your 20s if you are gonna, if it's gonna make you go broke. So number one, growing income. Number two, passive income. Number three, you need to decide how you're going to pay for this. Okay, are you going to buy it outright cash? Are you going to lease it? Are you going to finance it? Me personally, my opinion, I know that a supercar is a depreciating asset most of the time, but if you are going to buy a supercar, I believe that you should only buy a supercar when you can afford to pay for it cash from the bank. No loans, cash that you've saved up. So with that being said, if you want to do that in your 20s, you got to start in your early 20s. If you're starting at 28, chances are it's going to be very hard for you to save up, let's say 250 grand in order to buy a supercar by the time that you're 29 and almost 30, right? So you need to, the earlier that you can start, the better, okay? So you need to figure out how you're going to pay for it and what method, like leasing, financing, or purchasing outright, how you're going to pay for it, and you need to figure out how much time you need to allow yourself to save for it. Set money aside. Even if you're leasing it, you need to set money aside because you're going to need a down payment to bring those monthly payments down. Set money aside, save your money, work hard, and make sure you know how you are going to pay for it. And the last thing, that was number three, how you're going to pay for it. Number four, what you need to know is that it's okay to buy a used supercar. When we talk about supercars and buying supercars, we automatically think we're going to go buy a 2018 Ferrari or a 2017 Ferrari or whatever year you're watching this in, okay? Right now it's 2017, but we're towards the end of it, so you might be looking at 2018s. You can buy a used supercar. There's nothing wrong with buying a car that is 5 to 8 years old as a supercar. If you buy an 8-year-old Lamborghini, it's still a Lamborghini. It's still an incredible car. It's still going to have incredible things along with it. And with that being said, if you buy a used supercar, all of the problems will already be known. So that means that anything, you know, when they first release a model, when the model year is the first year, if you buy that vehicle and there's problems with it, you're going to be the one that finds out about those problems. So maybe there's a problem with the transmission and you know you're going to have to replace the transmission. If you get a car that's 8 years old, you will already know, okay, I know that the transmission will likely blow or likely go. I have to replace it. Let me set aside an extra $5,000 to $8,000, whatever it's going to cost for a new transmission or for a new engine component, for a new wheel bearing, whatever it is that the problem is, you'll know about it. So I would recommend buying a used vehicle. Not only do you already get rid of the maximum depreciation that happens in the first few years, but you also already know about the problem, so you're prepared for any additional costs. So those are the things that you should know in order to buy a supercar in your 20s. So to answer the question of how to buy a supercar in your 20s, that's a statement, it's not a question, but to answer that, you have to work hard, save money, develop a growing income, develop passive income, figure out how you're going to pay for it, and understand that, in my opinion, it's a better bet to actually buy a supercar that is a few years old for the reasons that I've outlined in this video. Now, before I finish this video, I do want to say that you're probably looking, saying, wow, this guy's driving a Mazda 3. Why is he telling us how to buy a supercar in his 20s? In your 20s. I'm 30 years old, okay? I was recently in my 20s. I could afford a supercar when I was in my 20s. However, I decided to invest my money in other appreciating assets. So, like I said, most of the time, supercars are depreciating assets, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know that when you buy it, you're going to lose some of the money. Completely fine as long as you accept that. I currently invested in appreciating assets, and then hopefully in the future I can buy like 5 supercars and not mind the fact that they're depreciating assets because I've done so much appreciation over the years. So that's why I'm telling you how to buy a supercar in your 20s, and I'm driving my wife's old Mazda 3. That's the reason why. So don't take it the wrong way. You know, don't judge a book by its cover thinking he's driving a Mazda 3. Obviously, he can't afford a supercar. Believe me, I can. I just chose to invest my money elsewhere. So that's it. That's basically how to afford a supercar and how to buy a supercar in your 20s. Make an educated decision. Don't make a hasty decision. Do what you can do and buy what you can afford. Those are my recommendations. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.